to feature Fiesta Friday. Yeah, how about that? All right, I had to stop that. It's one of these things that's just way too fun, almost annoyingly fun. So listen, what I'm going to do is I'd like you to chat with me. Keep this chat going. If you're live with me right now, some people are going to be watching this via recording. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my feature Fiesta Friday presentation, and we're going to jump right into this. Now, this is going to be, here we go. Sorry about that. This is going to be a super fast introduction to Propule and this thing we call actions. Now, here's the deal. There's no silliness today. This is all business. This feature Fiesta Friday is this thing we're doing once a month now. This is the very first one. So we're starting this off. The intent was to hold these primarily for our clients, and we thought, well, you know what? We can actually make these in a way so that they'd be valuable to everyone. So once a month, we're going to focus on a particular feature. It's not going to be a how-to session as much as it's going to be more focused on how a particular feature can help you drive engagement. So today we're focusing on actions, and and my name is Dave Will. I am a co-founder of Propule. Also, some of you may know me from my days starting Peach New Media, the Freestone LMS. Well, the same team that built that company is the company behind Propule. Anyways, today we're going to talk about this concept of ask, capture, and act. That's what contextual engagement is all about, is capturing context. So contextual engagement, I'm going to introduce that concept. Then we're going to jump right into what actions are all about and how you act on the context. And then I'm going to actually show you some use cases and how people are using actions. And so that's going to be an actual, I'm going to show you two clients. ASAE is one here that I'm going to show you. Then I'll show you HSMAI, Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. So before we get into the Ask, Capture, Act process, I think it's important that you understand this idea of contextual engagement. And in order to do that, I want to pull out this book. If you can see my picture there, I'm holding up, well, you can also see on the screen, but I'm holding up Journey Under the Sea. It's a choose your own adventure book. And the idea of these choose your own adventure books, and the reason I liked them so much was because I could choose my own destiny. I was in charge of my destiny. You'd get to if you're not familiar with this, what happens is you get to the end of a chapter and it says, if you decide to quit the expedition now, turn to page 31. If you decide to return to the deep, turn to page 32. Now, again, the one I'm reading is Journey Under the Sea. That was always my favorite one. So with that, I would get to choose where I go with my journey, with my story. And it made the book much more relevant to me. So now think about this concept of context, capturing context and why it's so important. Another analogy I like to give is think about a doctor's office. You go into the doctor's office, first thing they do is ask you to fill out the form. Maybe if you've been there a few times, you don't have to, but at least annually, you got to fill out that form, same stuff, write your name in like 8 different places. And then, so now they have some basic information about you. You walk in the office, they know whether your gender pretty quickly. They know, they capture your blood pressure. They know your age based on the form. They might be catching your heart rate or your, they're in all these stats. So they have the data, right? Do you guys have any data on your members? You probably do. But then what happens, and this is where it gets really interesting, then the doctor walks in. And sure, they look at the data, but what's the first thing they do after that? So how are you feeling? Or what brought you in today? Because what they're trying to do is get some context around the data. And without that context, they can't do their job in a relevant way. They can't diagnose you in a relevant way. All right, now certainly there's some things you can do with the data, but without context, it's much, much harder. Think about a baby now. So with a baby, they wake up crying in the middle of the night. And my guess is many of you have had that experience already. But a baby wakes up crying in the middle of the night. You go get the baby, you lift the baby up, and first thing you do, check the diaper, right? No, diaper's fine. All right. Or maybe change the diaper, but they're still crying. Well, I know when my babies were crying, their stomachs would get so tight. And so you're trying to figure out what's going on. Wouldn't it be so much easier if you get context around their tears and ask them, why are you crying? What's wrong? Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I pooped and my my diaper's full. So wouldn't that be a lot easier with context? And so that's the idea of context. All right. With that, let's talk about traditional marketing. Now, traditional marketing, what you're doing is you're getting a group of people and you think you understand that group of people enough to send them a message, right? So sometimes the more sophisticated organizations will have a drip campaign that based on certain activities, you send them something. But it would be a heck of a lot easier if you could start capturing context to create relevance before you send it to them. Now, Reggie Henry, and I'm going to talk about ASAE a few times here. Reggie Henry over at ASAE had a member, and he asked that member a certain question, and she had been a member for like 16 years, and she let him know that. She said, you know what, Reggie, I've been a member for 16 years. You should know me by now. But instead, what ASAE has been doing for a long time, and I'm not speaking out of turn with ASAE, Reggie's the first one to admit this, they'd take a dump truck of information and put it in their members' laps. So now what they're doing, and I'll show you this a little bit later, now what they're doing is they're asking questions so they can understand their members' needs right there and then, and based on their member needs, take actions. And the actions, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, oh, and the other thing about traditional marketing is I just can't believe how often we talk about personalization. And personalization to a lot of organizations is like mail merge, like, hey, Dave, comma, and then a form letter. So to me, that's not personalization. Personalization is when you give me the content that's very, very specific to me based on my needs. That's personalization. All right. So with that, I want to emphasize this. Prop Fuel is, I consider it in the marketing realm. It's an engagement platform, but we're not necessarily trying to replace marketing automation. In fact, by no means are we trying to replace it. There's a time for marketing automation. There's a time for sending content, and there's a time for asking questions. Generally, when you know what it is your members want, you send content. When you don't know what it is they want, you ask questions. And oftentimes using these two things as two arrows in your quiver is really, really helpful. Always doing something the same way is not necessarily the best approach. So we're going to talk now about this concept of ask, capture, act, because that's what contextual engagement is. Now that you understand contextual engagement, we can talk about this very, very clear and obvious methodology, this process of asking questions via email in a frictionless way. And what I mean by that is you can answer the question right in the email. It makes it so, so easy. And then capture the context. Like, for instance, a super easy one, and I'm going to show you this one with HSMAI, with lapsed members. For some reason, people miss a lot of emails. I think we train people to delete our emails in many cases. But with a very, very simple question, when somebody let their membership lapse, wouldn't it be kind of nice to know if they even knew their membership? Hey, did you know your membership lapsed? It's a really common question. Would you believe like 50%, sometimes more, sometimes a little less too, but right in around 50% of the people that answer that question say, yeah, I didn't even know my membership lapsed. Kind of makes you want to knock your head against the wall because you sent them 30 emails saying, hey, your membership is lapsing. But based on whether they knew or didn't know, now we can actually take action on that. So I want to talk to you now about actions. This is the crux of today's feature, Fiesta Friday. And so the actions, there's two sides to actions. It starts with data, right? We want or connections to other platforms. So we have all these what we call connectors. They're integrations, right? So we have all these integrations, super easy. And I know many of you don't believe me when I say that. It is crazy easy to connect these things. In some cases, it's just a matter of typing your ID and password into your email and password into the connector, and boom, we're talking to it. So we have all these connectors to make the actions more relevant. Now, the actions, think about this. You're asking a question, capturing context, and then taking action. So the actions that you might take are any number of these things. Add them to another campaign. Remove them from a campaign. And one of my examples, I'll show you that one. Send an internal alert. And for instance, one of the examples I'll show you with ASAE is, are you interested in volunteering? Gosh, wouldn't it be nice if Wanda Coffee over at ASAE, who manages their volunteers, got an alert when somebody said they wanted to volunteer? I'm going to pause that rhetorical question, because actually, when you get 700 emails, 700 alerts, because there's so many people responding to this question, it's a double-edged sword. I'm sure she's happy, but at a certain point, we actually had to shut off some of those alerts because she was getting so many. So we found another way to notify Wanda about the alerts. About the volunteers she was getting. You might redirect them to a URL, but sometimes it's too abrupt. So you might show them text on a landing page, or content. It's not just text. You can show them images and show them videos, but you might drop them into a very specific landing page based on how they answered the question. You might embed a check-in. Now, what that means is send them to another question. It's a branch question is what it is. So by answering a question, hey, did you know your membership expired? Yeah, I knew. Well, why did you let it expire then? That's an embed check-in. Sending an email to submitter, really, really common action that we use, and usually to support the content on the landing page in case people don't jump to it right away. You can write back to any one of these AMSs, writing back data to the profile. How many of you want to build out your member profiles a little bit better? Wouldn't it be great to ask a question, take that information, and send it right back into your AMS? And then the other thing with some of the marketing automation systems that we're connected to, you could send people from a question, get their answer, based on the answer, put them into a particular campaign. All right. So with that, this is what it looks like on the back end. Now I'm going to show you this live in a minute, but essentially there's a question. And based on the question, you have, in this case, a yes or no. Regardless of how they answer this question, we're going to remove them from the campaign. So if they answer the question, remove them so they don't get a similar question 3 weeks later. If they didn't answer the question, keep them in, man. We're going to hit them up again in 3 weeks with another similar question. All right, but if they answer the question yes, then send them to this why not renew. I'm going to show you this particular example in a minute. And if they say no, we're going to do a couple things here. All right, so with that, let me show you some of the use cases. Number one, if you think about the stages of a member lifecycle, it starts with even member acquisition, right? That's not even on here, acquiring new members. And then it goes all the way through these stages into even dormant member reacquisition, getting members that haven't been members in over a year. How do we get them back? So every one of these offers an opportunity to ask and capture some context around the stage that they're in, and then apply that to create relevant emails or relevant responses or relevant actions. All right, so here are the 5 examples that I think people use most often. I'm going to show you 2 of them. We actually have a use case or case study on this HSMAI elapsed member campaign. So we will post a link to, in fact, Bree, maybe you can post a link to that right now. Bree is one of the members on our team. She's in the marketing side for PropFuel. And I'll also bring this up again later. And we're going to send a follow-up with some of this stuff too. But there's 5 primary campaigns that we found associations are embracing left and right. One is the member acquisition campaign. These are all revenue-driving campaigns too. Member acquisition, new and existing member retention. So especially for new members, the membership base that's most likely not to renew are new members. So how do we retain them? What can we ask them to get them so involved that there's no doubt they're going to renew the next year? Event registration drives. Let's get your conferences bumped up. Let's get more people in. We have a bunch of case studies on that as well. Membership renewals. Let's get people to renew before they get lapsed. But if they get lapsed or even dormant for that matter, let's get them indoors. So those are 5 examples. All right, those are 5 examples. Let me share my screen with you. I'm sorry, I'm already sharing my screen. Not that one. Here we go. This is what I'd like to do. So this is HSMAI, and in another 2 or 3, well, no, I've got another 4 minutes or so, and then we'll take it into questions. So what I'm going to show you here is their lapsed member campaign. Man, there's so much stuff I'd love to show you here. They had a great campaign recently with these sessions that they're doing, and they sent out this last minute kind of call to get people to register for the sessions. They have a member acquisition campaign that they put together. Anyway, lapsed member. So this is the one I showed you in the slides, where based on the question, based on how they answer, you can have all these actions associated with it, right? Here's some of the actions they have available to them. But we removed them from the campaign. We go to another question. So again, if they say, well, hey, did you know your membership expired? And they say yes, we bring them to another question. I'm going to show you that in a second. But if they say no, we send an alert to Stacy over there. We show text on the landing page that says, well, gosh, here's where you can go to renew. Just log in and go here. And then we also send them a similar email with that information. So the idea is use these automated systems just to get them to take action. But if they don't, you know who's going to call them? Stacy. All right, but let's look at this why not renew thing. So if they say yes, we're going to send them to the next. I knew my membership expired. Well, gosh, why did you let your membership go then? Like, why'd you let it expire? Now they have all these options. I still intend to renew. That's a really good one. Too expensive, lost our job, retired, left the industry, was a student or graduated. So here, I still intend to renew. Awesome, good. Let's give them that information on how to renew. Let's send them an email. And by the way, let's sick Stacy on them. Stacy, pick up the phone and call them if they haven't renewed. Let's hold their hand a little bit. If they lost their job, this one's really cool, actually. If they lost their job, you know what they do? I'm not going to go here because I want to show you others, but they send them to another question saying, we're very sorry for the transition. Is there anything we can do to help? Isn't that cool? So here if somebody's retired, most organizations I've found offer a retirement program, which I think is really, really cool. So if they retired, most members don't realize that. So if they retired, send them the retirement pitch. All right, so that's how HSN, and I'm not going to show you any data. That's their private data. I'm not going to share that with you. But I am going to show you now ASAE, and then I'm going to open it up for questions if there are any. By the way, jump in the chat. I'm not looking at the chat yet, but I'm going to jump into that chat in a second. I'd really love to see what you guys have to say about all this. When you chat, make sure to chat to all panelists and participants or attendees, because I'd love for everybody to see what you're saying here. Okay, so here we are in the ASAE account. I'm going to take you into this campaign right here that's about engaging new and renewed members. Now they have a series of questions over time that they're asking. And again, the focus here is on action. So based on how they answer any one of these things, we might send them to certain places like, what industry related topic is of most interest to you right now? You know where we send them when they answer this? To Connected Community. We send them to Higher Logic, Collaborate. And so we'll send them over to the membership marketing communications discussions or community in Higher Logic. We'll send them the meetings, events, community in Higher Logic. So that drives the Higher Logic activity. What's your preferred learning and method of learning? If they say audio, we're going to send them to a podcast. If they, depending on how they answer, we're going to send them certain places, right? So this is the one I really like. So the volunteers, are you interested in volunteering? And so if they say yes, now we used to send Wanda an alert. Here she is. We used to send Wanda an alert, but then, like I said, she got like 700 alerts in a matter of in a short period of time. So we decided to shut those off for her. Now we just send her an alert if somebody writes open text telling her specifically how they want to volunteer. Otherwise, we drive them to sign up, set up their volunteer profile and collaborate, and then check out the opportunities where they can volunteer. So really cool process here. Let me show you what these look like, by the way. I sent myself these alerts earlier. Okay, so here's the one from Amy over at ASA. She really likes orange. So this is the one, this is the email template we use. All of you, or many of you, received the email, similar email template from me signing up for this webinar. So many of you experience this already. Here's the one from Stacy over at HSMAI. Really, really easy to answer. I'm not going to answer these because I don't want to cloud their data. But that's it, folks. That is actions. And so now I'm going to scan through some of these. And please submit your questions through the Q&A, or go ahead and put them into the chat. And I'm going to address your questions now. Yeah, super loud. Sorry, Barry. Yeah, that music was super loud, but if you're going to have loud music, what kind of music is better to play loud, huh? Hey, Bree, if you haven't already, can you post? Oh, you know what? I wanted to share my screen here. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions. We're going to send out the Case Study Labs member campaign. We're going to send out the recording to this. And then we have a bunch of case studies, use cases, all kinds of things on our website. If you're interested in seeing a demo, which if you're not already a client, then please feel free. I'm going to stop this. You can reach out to me directly anytime if you want. All right. Case study. Who is Stacy, and why is she making calls on me? That's my friend Scott Ozer, who, by the way, Scott Ozer Associates makes phone calls for associations. There's your plug, Scott. How is this program different from a product like HubSpot? Great question, Ray. So I'm going to pull up that slide specifically talking to how PropFuel compares to marketing automation. You can create campaigns in marketing automation where there's you might ask a question and have different links based on how they answer the question. The difference actually is in the topic of what we're talking about today. And there's a few differences. Number one, the ease in being able to create a campaign with a series of questions focused on the question, right? We start with a question. That's what PropFuel is all about. The ease of being able to create these things and the flexibility of being able to create them with very specific actions associated with how you answer those things. PropFuel specializes in asking questions, capturing the voice of the member, and then acting on it. So that's what PropFuel focuses on. That's what we do. Marketing automation is a really good way to push information. Primarily, it's not that you can figure it out, you can tweak it and poke it and prod it to ask questions, but it's much more complex to set up that way. PropFuel makes it really, really easy to ask questions throughout a series of time to very, very specific people. So there's some similarities between marketing automation and PropFuel. We're not looking to replace your marketing automation system. We're looking to complement it by sending it information. So once you know what it is people want, then we're going to send that over to your marketing automation system. So I hope I answered that question. And there's some overlap. So it's really, it's not a clear, obvious differentiation. I'm still trying to figure out how to explain it better myself. So Ray, I hope that's helpful. I'd love your input, Ray, whether that helped clear up what the difference is between PropFuel and marketing automation. Can PropFuel engagement be integrated with backend ASM systems to track engagement? Absolutely. We have all kinds of connectors. We actually track the engagement ourselves as well. So we'll track clicks and where people go and so on. So yeah, in terms of, I'd like to know specifically what system you're referring to, but yeah, we're connected to all kinds of systems, and we can connect through direct connectors or through Zapier. Brittany, would this be beneficial to encourage our constituents to update their contact information in their profile? Yeah, we have a lot of our clients are updating profile information based on the feedback they get. And the way that works is you set up an action to write data back to a particular field in the contact. We've run into a group of people who have undeliverable email addresses. No kidding. I actually just posted something on Collaborate about that. And or little to no additional contact information. This typically happens when they leave a job or school and no longer tied to that contact information. By the way, when we capture contact information, whether it's through your AMS connector or whether you just upload a list, which I'd prefer not to do because it's manual, but either way, however we get the contact information, if we discover that there's a bad address, we just never send to that address again, regardless of whether it's triggered or not. Yeah, so I would love to work with you more to figure out how can we help you as a client of ours, how can we help you manage your the accuracy of your emails. And because I'm seeing that to be a relevant issue, so much so that I just posted earlier this week in Collaborate, so that's cool. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions. With that, I do not see any other questions. It's 12:27. Again, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. I'm very, very passionate about this product because it works. You know, I say this all the time. In our last company, Peach the Media, loved the company. I loved the people. I loved our clients, and the product was good. It was good. But you know what I like about this is I'm extremely passionate about this product. I love this product. There's nothing like it. The closest thing, which Ray brought up, is marketing automation. So with a lot of effort, you can do this in marketing automation or, really easy with us. So I hope you like that. Bree, thank you for posting that case study. And you are welcome. It always makes me feel good when people say it was valuable. So thank you. I'm going to stop this, and you guys have a great day.